Hi, everybody. I've had an absolute blast recording your championship intros on audio and also on video. And for those of you that didn't know, the videos can be done special exactly the way you like them, because these are green screens and we can do them with a scene behind me. Do you want a fighting scene? Do you want a beach scene? Do you want a race car scene? Any scene you want, we can give it to you. It's your theme and my pleasure. Just write our offices and we will answer you with the exact fee involved and how it'll get done. So here we are, and now it's time, and it's your choice. Cheers!
From the shores of Malibu where the waves are pumping, to the Great Wall of China and back to the streets of Las Vegas where the UFC is coming. We are live. This is It's Time Radio, the show where we talk about what you think about, but may be afraid to voice. Do not worry. We will voice it for you. We talk about it all. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, UFC, film, video, TV, you name it. We talk about it. I'm here on my show. This is my show, right? I forgot.
It's not mine, I'll tell you that.
All right. All kidding aside. TJ, how are you? Good to have you on the show. We're back. Long week, Montreal, a lot of travel going on, a lot of travel coming on. It's quite the busy time for the UFC and for everything else going on in your life and in my life, and we're going to talk about it on the show, along with our co-host, a man who likes to punch holes through people's chests, a man who's the coach to the stars, a man who's always there by the octagon with his inscrutable knowledge and coaching and teaching.
What the hell does
his
inscrutable
disciples.
mean?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's something good, TJ.
I think it's good for you, Ray.
Thank
Come
you.
on, you are inscrutable. You got all those grasshoppers are out there hanging around you, wanting to learn everything you know, and you teach them. But here he is, Ray Longo, the teacher to the grasshoppers, the coach to the stars. How are you, Ray?
Very good, Bruce. And that's the sign of a professional, TJ, when the guy looks like he's down in the dumps, but as soon as that camera comes on, he's from the shores of Malibu. He's all over the world, Russia, China, back to Vegas. We're back. The guy's incredible. He is incredible, this guy.
Who is that guy?
That's
Who
you,
we talking
buddy.
That's you.
That's
You're
you.
the guy.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, when
You're,
you came on, I was in deep thought. I'm handling like
inscrutable.
6 different multitasking things going on here in my office. It's a little crazy
Your
today.
inscrutable knowledge.
Can I just tell you this, Ray? While he's been globe-trotting, doing the world's biggest combat sports show in international territory, between then and now, Buffer picked up like, what, $20,000 or something playing poker?
Oh,
We were talking about the other night. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was. There's a casino out here, Ray, called Hustler, and they have Poker Panic Mondays, right? And it's a cash game. It's a high stakes cash game. They even have higher stakes cash game. But the one I play in, people usually buy in for $5,000 to $10,000 to sit down at the table, and it's televised on YouTube. And TJ watched it, and I had a good night the other night. I was the top
well,
winner
that's
at the
great,
table.
man. I was with Weidman the last time we were in. I guess it was Vegas. He hit for 58 grand. He was
What?
up big.
58
Yeah,
grand.
huge.
Playing
Doing what?
poker?
Poker?
And the high, yeah, no, oh no,
Blackjack?
that was blackjack, yeah.
I can play some
58 grand at
blackjack.
blackjack. That's quite a win. That's a
I mean,
huge win.
They were betting huge hands. We were in that private room or whatever the hell that room is, the high
Yeah.
roller
What is-
room.
I love the fact he won the money, but also there's the other side of the coin where you can lose the money when you're betting that kind of money. What is
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
doing betting that kind of money at blackjack?
He's
I
a
don't
former
know.
world champion,
He
Buff. You
was-
got to chase that
Former world
adrenaline.
champion who needs to keep his money. When you're winning 58,000, that means you're betting 2,000-3,000 or more a hand,
Yeah, he's what
which
the
is
hell was
fine.
that?
I give him all the credit in the world.
He wants to be a professional poker player. That's what he wants to do.
Blackjack and poker are two different things.
Blackjack. I don't know, blackjack. Professional gambler. That's how bad
I think
am.
more on the professional gambler side. I wish Chris all the luck. I think it's great. I know professional gamblers that make hellacious amount of money. But one thing is common amongst professional gamblers, they all go broke at some time.
Wow.
Not all, but it does happen. Now, I'm a semi-pro gambler, poker player. I don't say people
Yeah.
have called me professional because I've final tabled the World Series and I've got, pro ratings on carplayer.com and was called one of the top 10 best celebrity poker players in the world at one time. But that doesn't make me a pro, right?
Well,
To be a pro, you got to play all the time, and that's how you pay your bills. That would not be my choice of vocation.
wow.
I
Well,
love
I
to
think that's
I
great.
love
I
to
think
play
that's
and win
great
money.
advice.
What's that?
I think that's great advice.
Well, I mean, I love to play and win money and keep it recreational, but when you play if I had to play every day, Ray, As much as I love poker, if I had to play live poker every day, I would lose my whole thrill and love for playing when I play, because I get a lot of pleasure out of playing. It's a very relaxing thing for me.
Nice.
That said, Buff, I remember when you cashed at the main event, you were exhausted that week. Like, it sounded like you were running a marathon.
A number of years ago when I cashed at the main event?
Yeah,
because it was day 5 in the main event, and you play for 10 hours. You're there for 12. You have 2 hours of breaks, an hour, you have 15 minutes every 2 hours, you get an hour dinner break, right? But you're playing mentally, and they say, is poker a sport? Like, you might want to comment on this too, Ray. Are we seeing Ray? Should Ray step back a little bit from the camera?
No, I'll fix it in post. Don't worry. We got Cyclops Ray. I would prefer that he doesn't move, because then I got to move it all over the place.
All right, go ahead, stay. I'll look at your one eye, Ray. It's all good.
Oh, shoot. I'm seeing my face right in the
you're
center.
fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Bruce
you're
is
fine.
introducing a problem that doesn't exist, Ray.
It doesn't exist. Typical of me, micromanaging.
Okay, let's ask Ray the question. Is poker a sport?
Is poker a sport, Ray? And I'll tell you why it can be.
I mean, I don't see it as a sport, no.
I don't see it as a sport either, but where it becomes a sport to a degree is like what TJ was talking about. When you're in the main event, which is a 10-day or so event where you're there 12 hours a day, playing 10 hours a day, mentally, physically trying to stay strong and everything. I played for 5 days before I got knocked out, playing against about 9,000 players, and there was only 460 or so left when I got knocked out. And I cashed for a nice amount of money. But by day 5, you're playing, and I would go to bed, I'd wake up, I'd get a workout, a power breakfast in, go back to play, same thing next day, same thing next day. By day 5, it starts wearing on you, just being there for the mental process. That's where it could be called, I think, more of a mental sport.
Oh, I think it's a mental sport for you. A mental something for sure. Yeah.
It's a skill. It's a game, and it's a skill. That doesn't necessarily make it a sport. I mean, if you want to say that's a sport because it's a mental challenge, then the spelling bee is a sport.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you could say
you might be able to say
you could also say negotiating for a business is a sport too. You might be in
realty
negotiations for
Call your buddy up, Ally Quinta. He's still an athlete. He's in the realty business.
Yeah.
Like, my thing is for me to have it be a sport, you got to be doing something that I'm going to call you an athlete for. I'm not going to call you an athlete for playing poker.
I will say this. I believe sports will help you with that, though. Sports is a conduit because it teaches you the mental toughness and how to grind things out and how to manage your time and your energy.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Ray, because I've written articles for Poker Magazine, an article, and another article I did on the mental similarities between poker and fighting.
I can see that. That I can see.
You need to know when to be offensive. You need to know when to be defensive. We all know when you go in, let's say in the octagon, and you're going in for the knockout, one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to knock your opponent out or you're going to get knocked out yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Can I say, watching you play poker, Buff, you with sunglasses on is about as intimidating as Iwan Kutalaba marching over in the face of his opponent.
Bruce, that's big. That praise.
That's a big phrase. And speaking of Iwan, I had a fun time with him the other night. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
With that being said, you have to know when to go for it. You have to know when to not. You have to, like an opponent in fighting, need to know your opponent. What are his pluses, his minuses, his weaknesses, his strengths, so you can capitalize on that, whether you're watching film, preparing for the fight, coaching for the fight. And in poker, it's not about playing the cards, it's about playing the player. And I like to win with the best hand. I also like to win with the worst hand, to bluff and throw people off.
Go.
So you got to play the player. You got to know how to play. And it's constantly, there's math involved, there's mental warfare involved, there's barbs at the table when you're conversing and you're saying things to throw your player off, or girls will say things to flirt with players at the table to throw them off, or guys will say things to throw each other. Everybody's going after each other in some way, shape, or form. But I like it. It's fun. I've been competitive my whole life, and it's a competitive thing that I'll be able to keep going. And one last thing, and I'll say about it, is I'm a winning poker player. I keep tabs. I can tell you, Ray, every day. I can tell you every bet I've made, whether it's blackjack or a football game or played at a poker table, every day I've done it for the last 15 plus years, with a tally at the end of the month and a tally at the end of the year, because I treat it like a business.
Right.
And I'm a winning player. I don't ever talk finances, but I'm a winning player.
Nice.
Where your friends and other people come up to you and say, "Hey, I won 3,000 playing blackjack," right? They don't tell you about the 10 times they lost 5 or 10,000, but they'll tell you when they won the 3. So that's the big difference.
1,000,000%.
Exactly. And speaking of Iwan Cutelaba, always a fun thing to introduce Iwan, but the UFC 315 in Montreal, which we're going to go into, great show. I thought it was an awesome show all the way around. The main event was just off the hook. But Iwan, when he comes in, he's actually walked over to his opponent and caused a fight before the fight actually happened one time.
That's
when he
normal.
got around me. And I make it a point, I know he's going to come over, I make it a point to get in between him, but it was kind of caught a little dramatically on the TV when they caught it this time.
I mean, Anik threw out there, what, does Buff want to be security guard tonight? That drew attention to it, but it made me laugh as well. Yeah.
I actually got a call from one of the commissioners in Las Vegas complimenting me on how I handled that in the octagon, as commissioners are supposed to. The guys that are in the octagon are supposed to be the ones taking care of that, not me.
Yeah, but Cutelaba does it every single time.
Yeah, he's
like, you're ready for it, Buff.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah. I think I go back to the time when he, out of nowhere, he screamed in what's his name's face? Who's the guy? Khalil Roundtree, and I think Roundtree's reaction was almost perfect. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, what is this all about, right?
Yeah, what? Where that was crazy.
I always wonder about guys that do that because they're trying to bring it to this mental edge. And more often than not, I seem to think it might be from a place of weakness. You want to try to intimidate.
I think you're right, DJ. I seen him do it, I think, with Dustin Jacoby one time. He was just like nuts at the weigh-in.
Yeah.
And Jacoby was calm, cool, and collective, and then didn't go good, I don't think, for Cutelaba.
Cutelabra's he's an interesting cat. Nice guy too. Really
Yeah,
super.
And I believe he won that fight the other night too. I think he got robbed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would hate to be a judge in his vicinity and see that man marching towards me.
No, it was tough. Let's talk about the show. The show was definitely off the hook. The Bell Center was not sold out, but there was still 19,600 and change people there.
And they sounded like there were 40,000 because they're Canadian and they love the UFC.
Yeah. I'll tell you when it was sold out, when Sarah fought GSP for the second time. It was packed.
Packed.
Come on, Bruce. That was surreal what was going on that night.
Hey, I hung out with Matt after that fight. He was just like a kid in a candy store.
No, this is the second one Ray's talking about, not the first.
Well, yeah,
the second one. I'm sorry.
At the Bell Center, when they were crazy.
If Matt would have knocked him out, there would have been a riot.
Yeah.
I've always said I've never met a rude Canadian, just a lot of inebriated ones, but they definitely get into their UFC. There's no question.
Yeah.
Their energy is electric. It really is. It really is. So here, while we're on the subject, okay, we got Iwan Cutelaba. Got to give Jasmine Judavicius a lot of credit for her win over Jessica Andrade. Very, 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 very strong.
Yeah, she's a real contender.
Real contender. The Natalia Silva.
Oh my God.
I think she's a problem right now. She looks.
Well, I
think
she's
really
going to be a problem
for
she's going to be a problem for Valentina. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, based on the way Valentina just stood there and counted, even though she's really good, the movement I think is going to be totally. It's going to be interesting. That's a great fight.
Well, I mean, how many people do you see move like Natalie moves? I mean, she's constantly, not necessarily on a bicycle. She's just circling, but she's ready to throw at any time.
She knows when to throw. Those side kicks to the face, they're discouraging as hell. She mixes it up pretty good. And if she's got her takedown defense holds up, she's a problem. 1,000,000%. She looks really good so far.
And Ray, when's the last time you've seen people throw side kicks and land them to the face?
Not
probably one of the more. No, it's probably one of the more difficult kicks. I love a good side kick. My favorites are back kick and roundhouse, but and I love a good wheel kick. But a side kick to the face, that's very difficult to land.
It's also demoralizing too. Everybody that gets hit with it, if they don't get hurt, they're like, "Did that really just happen to me?"
Oh yeah. It's even a foot jab to the face. It's the Thais consider that the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Insulting thing you could do to somebody. Take the bottom of your foot that you've been walking around and just stick it in a guy's face. It's considered very disrespectful. So there's psychologically, TJ, you're 1,000,000% right. That's demoralizing.
Well, what about a cheap kick to the face? Just right to underneath
the
chin.
thing. Yeah, same thing.
Some guys are into that, though. They like feet. I don't know why. Never understood it.
I had dinner with Steven Seagal after the, it was in where we were filming a TV commercial and
I'm sorry to hear that.
somewhere down in South America. I'm not saying it bad. It was a fun dinner. It was fun having dinner with him, but it was interesting. I told him, I said, as far as the front kick, when you talked about the teaching of Anderson Silva and all that on the front kick, who did Anderson knock out with the front kick?
Vitor Belfort. The newly minted upcoming UFC Hall of Famer, Vitor Belfort.
Yeah, and congratulations to Vitor on his election into the Hall of Fame. It was a very emotional moment Saturday night in Montreal watching him get that. But I told Steven, I said, that's basically the standard kick that yellow belts learn in Taekwondo, right? Am I wrong, Ray?
Well, yeah, without a doubt. 1,000,000%.
The only trick is that when you bring up when you throw the kick, you bring up your knee because your knee is your gun sight, right?
Right.
And the thing is to bring it up and then shoot it up because that way you don't see it when it comes up if it's done correctly.
Yeah,
Right.
You need a real loose hip flexor. It's only for certain people. That's why, like Anderson Silva with the long legs, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, the shorter guys,
Beautiful.
they struggle with that kick. They just don't have the length.
Yeah. But if you got the length, you got the kick. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There are also just certain kicks in MMA. Sorry to cut you off, Ray. I was just going to say there are certain kicks in MMA where, depending on the opponent, a lot of times they're just handles for some wrestlers. So you got to be able to hide that stuff. But a front kick to the face is like that's an ego buster as well.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that 1,000,000%.
I'm personally, one last thing on the front kick, the teep kick, if you're Muay Thai, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's like a jab. Just keep throwing it out there. You don't have to put a lot of power on it. If you want to put power on it, put power on it. Otherwise, the force of the opponent coming in onto your kick going out creates the power.
And a lot of people do that. They just throw it up sometimes, even just to let the guy know that they could get it up there to set up something else too. So, yeah, I agree with you, Bruce.
Yeah, it's like faking with the jab, or throwing the jab itself.
Well, the most famous teep kicks to the face in the UFC come from Anderson Silva and Lyoto Machida.
Yeah.
And when they landed, you could tell the opponent didn't even know where it was coming from because it parts their leg or parts their hands like crazy.
Yep.
Agreed.
Let's talk about the main event because I know Ray's on short time. Ray's on short time.
Okay, Ray, you got short time?
Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as
Ray?
my training partner walks through the door. I'll give you a wink.
Give us a minutes notice.
Yeah.
Before we get there, praise to Jose Aldo on his retirement, his incredibly glorious career in the UFC. That was a fight for it all, I thought. It was incredible.
Yep.
Do you think Jose gassed out a little bit at the end after really bringing it to him for 3 rounds?
I don't think he gassed out. I know he gassed out. When you look up at the clock and there's 4 minutes to go, you gassed out. And then he shot that takedown. It was over. So he kind of beat himself in that fight.
I still think he did enough to win that fight and at worst draw. But just to let Bruce know, like I thought Aldo had done enough despite kind of getting overwhelmed at the end.
Yeah,
but,
I gave him.
I think so too.
Rounds. It's just the way it ended. The optics were horrible.
And I just don't know how you have 29-28 across the board. I just don't know in what world we live in where that was the scorecard.
What about the split decision I announced where there was a 37 on each side? I forget which fight that was.
The dissenting 30-27 is the hardest thing for me to swallow in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, that
crazy, especially on a split decision.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll take a look here. 1 second.
Yeah, see if you can find that out. Anyway, all the credit to Ayman Zahabi making his mark against a legendary fighter as Jose Aldo. Mignon Fior, credit to her for the battle with Valentina. But Valentina, exactly like you said, Ray, maybe not the most aggressive, but definitely doing all it took to win the fight and maintain her championship.
Yeah.
And I think Natalie Silva is the pick to bring her up against, even though there might be others before.
1,000,000%.
To answer the question, it was Modestas Bukauskas and Iwan Kutalaba dissenting 30-27s.
Crazy. All right, Bilal Muhammad and Jack Della Madelena. What a fight. Close fight all the way around. Bilal breaking his orbital bone, his nose, the lip split, reminiscent of Robbie Lawler's lip split. They're 2 worst lip splits or lip cuts I've ever seen in the UFC. Dr. Jeff Davison told me that it'll heal correctly, just like Robbie has, with hopefully no scar or whatever the case might be. But That's a battle, and he knows he was in a battle with that battle, and it got fight of the night, if I'm not mistaken, deservingly so. But when's the last time you saw a go for 5 rounds like that, Ray?
Yeah, no, that was a really, really good fight, man. And Della, I mean, Jack really held to the game plan. That's what really impresses me. I felt like Bilal looked like he had no game plan. Jack looked like, man, he stuck to the game plan. He kept him on the end of those punches. He never overcommitted. He was pot shot. He was moving. He was in a different position every time he threw a punch. It was hard to get a read on him. And then you could see the difference at the end when he had him against the fence and he sat down on a couple of punches. Like he could punch, but then he didn't even get too over crazy to try and knock him out. He went back to the game plan, which I'm saying is really hard to do because sometimes when you smell blood in the water like that, man, you're going to go and maybe overcommits and he gets taken down. But no, he went right back to the game plan. So hats off to him for having the discipline to stay with everything. And Bilal, I mean, definitely, he never stopped going forward. He never tried. I just think he had the wrong strategy.
Heart of a champion was
Heart
on
of a
display
champion.
for Bilal. You just real quick,
Ray, you what?
real quick, Bruce. You said it was a close fight. I think that when people look at the scorecards, they're gonna think it was a close fight in the future. 248-47s, 149-46. I thought 49-46 was the right score.
Yeah.
It was a pretty one-sided fight, in my opinion. Bilal walks away with a bit of a moral victory. He's been a guy who has caught a lot of shade from fans, but even his biggest haters can't hate on the performance turned in by Bilal from just the heart standpoint.
TJ, to your point, I'm going to say it was a competitive fight, but you had to give the rounds to Jack Della.
Sure, it was competitive.
That's it wasn't like he was blowing him out of the water, but you had to score the rounds for Jack, and I had it 49. I don't know what 2 rounds they could have given him. I think they gave him the first round, if I'm not mistaken, which I thought Jack won easily. So the 4th round, he 100% won. But I think at the end of the day, it was competitive. But it was one guy going forward and the other guy just kind of piecing them up and keeping the distance and putting the fight where he wanted to have it, which was on the feet.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, I know Bilal personally, as I'm sure you do too, Ray. And
Yeah, 100%.
he's a fine human being.
Yes.
100%, great guy. Now, you watch body language when people, I watch body language when people come in to meet the commissioners or the referees, before they walk in the octagon to be checked out to when they walk in the octagon. And one thing I noticed about Bilal that, somebody brought up to me, they thought there was a little too much confidence walking in, the way he was walking. And I don't know if confidence is the word.
I think he was enjoying the moment, Buff.
I think he was enjoying.
Yeah.
That's what I said to the person too. I said he's enjoying the moment. I mean, he's champion. He's coming in. This is his first defense. You can't knock him if he walks in with a little swagger. Let him do all the swagger he wants.
I went through this with anecdote. There was something different about it. I don't know if it was. I don't know if I was sensing swag. I sensed something, and John kind of agreed with me. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I almost think it was like a false confidence. There was something. Maybe he was trying to psych himself up for. I think he was in a weird spot with the Islam thing, man. I think everything. What I saw was what he was doing was everything was weighing on his head right before the fight. Something was going on. That I don't know. It could have been a million things, man. I don't like the way. I don't
never
like the
know
way
unless
Islam. As soon as he lost, instead of being like a good friend would say, man, like whatever, maybe put out a tweet to him. He's already tweeting the fight. I just think something was not sitting right, and I don't know what it was, but I said it to Anik, and there was something. He had a weird look to me walking around that octagon.
All right, so you did see something then. I got you.
Ray and I talked about that too on extra rounds, and one thing that I will say is there's a fine line between cockiness and confidence in combat sports.
Yeah.
That line is success. If you go out there and you handle your business, no one thinks twice about the way he was conducting himself. But one thing I will say, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily the reason, but Ray, you talk about, things swirling in his head, the Islam thing, even throw that out the window. When you talk to someone who's held the UFC title, a lot of people put a lot of pressure and the emphasis on rising yourself through the ranks and getting there, and then it's all good and you're the champion.
Yeah.
But that first walk and every subsequent walk after that it is hard to stay sharp when you're carrying the division, when you are the reigning defending champion. It doesn't get easier. It only gets harder when you're the champion. And you know, maybe Bilal felt some of that.
I felt that he had looked like he had, maybe that was it. Maybe the weight of the world on his shoulders.
You thought what?
Something, maybe the weight of the world was on his shoulders and his head, but something looked off.
Yeah.
I thought he, whatever. And just the fact that he didn't even go for a takedown until sometime in the second round, I thought was, why not get that game plan
that
off?
kind of surprised me too.
Yeah, why not get that game plan off right away, man? You're a grinder.
Anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, bottom line, one heck of a 5-round fight.
Yes,
no question.
Definitely
The crowd went
entertaining.
crazy, the whole 9 yards. It was even Dana was like, wow, 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 when he walked in the octagon after that fight too. I think if that's just true proof of what octagon warriors are truly all about.
Yeah.
Without question.
I like
So
that.
Islam next for JDM. That's what it's looking like. What do you think, Ray? Islam, JDM from a style matchup, and also just Islam at welterweight.
We talked about the other day, Kenny brought up some really good points. It's not like a 10-pound difference, it's a 15-pound difference. Jack will definitely be able to take his punches. Can he absorb the offense from a bigger guy? Now he's had some practice with a guy that's wrestling. Looked like he had a great game plan for movement and stuffing a couple of takedowns, so he's only going to get better from that. I'm starting to think it's a good fight for JDM. Originally, I was leaning towards Islam, but I'm starting to think that the size thing and just the confidence from becoming a champion and fighting a guy that's kind of similar. You know what I mean? So, that's a good matchup, man.
It's a good matchup. The other matchup that was announced also too is Ilia Topuria fighting Oliveira.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that one, June 28th.
Fan,
We've all been waiting to see Ilia.
Yeah, I'm a really big Topuria fan.
I think we all are. People talk about him being a.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, we're stepping on each other. I apologize, Ray. People make comments about, he comes from a rich family, he's this, he's that, or the other. I don't care where you come from. You come from poor, rich, whatever. If you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a great fighter, you're a great fighter. Respect the fight.
Yeah. From a stylistic matchup, I'm curious about this, Ray, because you have Topuria, who has great boxing. Oliveira, I don't know what you want to call him. He's a real mixed martial artist, phenomenal on the floor, really good Muay Thai on the feet. But in my opinion, this matchup, it's going to be intriguing if Oliveira throws kicks, try to utilize his knees and have a Muay Thai fight. But Bronx has a 5-inch reach advantage on Topuria. I wonder, do you think that reach and length is going to be a problem for Ilia?
No, I'm sure Holloway had a huge reach advantage on him too. But I think he knocks him out, TJ. I think he does.
Can't hear Ray.
Don't worry, Bruce. It should be fine in the recording.
Sorry.
But I also wanted to hear what Ray said. Can you say it again, Ray?
Yeah, no, I'm saying I think Topuria knocks him out. I think we've seen Oliveira get, tapped and go down, but guys couldn't capitalize on it. I think this is a disciplined guy that if he catches you, he's a finisher. He will finish that fight.
We'll find out. I guess if you're Topuria, you got to be careful, maybe going to the floor to put in the finishing touches. Don't get caught in that guard.
Yeah, I know, but look what he did. Look what he did with Ryan Hall, who's phenomenal. You don't even want to be nowhere near the floor with him. He just beat him down. I'm saying it's the same thing.
That's true. Yeah.
While we're on the subject here, guys, I want to catch this with Ray before we go. Dana has announced that John Jones and Tom Aspinall fight is going to happen. It will be announced, and I'm looking forward to that. What's your prediction of when that fight's going to happen?
Oof. When?
When do you think it's going to happen? Fall? Has to be the fall.
I would think September.
If it's going to happen
this
year, it's going to be November.
September, October.
You don't think that's the fight for MSG?
Oh yeah, that would be that's interesting. Yeah, I'll go with that.
It's got to be. No, I would think MSG. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, the biggest heavyweight title fight in UFC history. It's got to happen at the Mecca Combat Sports.
Yeah. I go with that. Good point, DJ.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely, it's got to happen at the Mecca.
That's what I'm here for.
We
got to get Ray out of here. This delay is killing us.
Ray, you're going to Baku, Azerbaijan, however you
Yeah,
say that word. You're going to Baku.
Az- Azerbaijan. Yeah, I'm going to Baku. I think I'm going to go to Italy first for a couple of days and then jump over.
All right, I'll be there with you. That was the week before the big fight week in Vegas on June 28th. It's an exhausting couple of weeks away. That travel's not going to be
Yeah.
easy.
No, I know. Plus, we got Marab June 7th. Guys, I got to run to the bathroom. I'm out of here. I'll talk to you later.
All right, get going, Ray.
All
Take
right,
care.
Ray.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right, always a pleasure to have brother Ray Longo on the show. Definitely a man of interesting words. But, you got to listen to Ray because he knows the ins and outs of fighting better than most, as well as most all that know the ins and outs of fighting. And it's interesting when you hear his take on Bilal, when I mentioned what somebody had talked to me about, but he saw it too. And you said you did too.
Anik mentioned it a little bit during the walk. He wasn't his normal self.
John said that when he was walking out?
Yeah, well, he said that I can't remember what the line was, but they talked about how kind of loose he was, because it is not stereotypical Bilal Muhammad, and sometimes Bruce, if he would have gone out there and dominated, people would have talked about that being the key to why he had a great performance. Like I said, there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness, and that line is success. And because he was not successful in Montreal, they're tending to call it cockiness.
Well, be it as it may, but Bilal will be back. He's not going to this is not going to stop his trajectory. I had his family and his dad sitting behind me, as happens with all championship fights. Usually the champion's family is sitting right behind me. And, it's interesting when you see somebody taking a beating and giving a beating like that and hearing the reactions from their loved ones, watching the fight. It's very interesting if that's the proper word to say about it, but privileged information. Anyway, I think we've got it done on the UFC this weekend. There is another fight. It's Burns and Morales at the Apex.
Yep.
Paul Craig's fighting. Good solid card. I will not be there. I will not be announcing this fight. It is my birthday week next week. I got the week off, but then I will be back for May 31st for the Apex fight coming up on May 31st. And then we're off to a very big and busy June. June is just, like I mentioned, with the Baku fight week, all that's happening. It's a very, very busy week. On to another couple other subjects before we sign off. The fires here in California, the insurance companies are, as they should, paying and hopefully paying for everybody to get their homes rebuilt and going through that. But now California's approved a statewide State Farm insurance rate increase. Do you have State Farm insurance, TJ?
I do not.
17%. 17%.
So, Buff, I was in Maui on my Hawaiian vacation a couple weeks back, and they were ravaged by the fires in 2023. And I don't know the total amount of homes that were destroyed, but 2 years later, they've only rebuilt 8. 8.
8?
8 homes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was talking to some locals. I was talking to an Uber driver that we had over there, and he thought it was something close to like 40% of the people that lived on the island in Lahaina had left the island. 40%, almost half the population has left, and it's because of things like this, the red tape and the permits and all of that stuff that needs to get taken care of before you can actually even start the cleanup, let alone try to rebuild and restore order and life to the way it once was. And then you have these insurance companies that don't want to pay any money or make it impossible to keep insurance. It's a sad state of affairs, Bruce, and Hawaii's still going through it, and obviously the Palisades here, they're going to be going through it for a very long time.
Well, they were told it could be a year before they start rebuilding with all that has to be going on. And also, too, renter's insurance in California on June 1st is subject to a 38% increase.
Do you get 30%? But do you get 38% more coverage? I mean, unfortunately, with insurance companies and why they're reviled so much as they are is because you pay money, and then God forbid you need something. They do everything they can to make sure you didn't, dot an I or cross a T, and say, well, this doesn't cover this, or you misread this fine print.
Yeah, they say they're here to protect us and to serve us, but the bottom line, they're here to figure a way not to pay us.
Yeah, because that's how they
No.
make money.
Some people call insurance as a big scam, but it's an operational necessity that we have to have.
It's a gamble for the insurance company, and when that gamble doesn't pay off for them, they do everything they can to try to change the rules and make it work.
I'm with you, TJ. Another couple note here. The movie coming out about John Madden, which has Nicolas Cage playing John Madden. If you look at his makeup, he looks amazing. And Christian Bale, the fine actor Christian Bale, is playing Al Davis. And I just saw a picture, which I can't show you right now, but crazy.
Yeah, I'll have to look that one up. The Rock is playing Mark Kerr in the upcoming...
I think the film's already in the can. I think it's already done.
Yeah. But I saw a picture of The Rock.
Amazing.
It's weird looking. It's
uncanny.
It's startling.
Yeah, uncanny. You know, I announced most all of Mark's fights except for when he fought in Pride.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would have been asked to be in that film, but I don't know what exactly all the areas they're covering in Mark's life.
Here's the problem with Mark Kerr's story. It's not a happy one.
No.
And I don't know. I mean, The Rock kind of tries to do feel-good stories. I hope it's a good story and one that represents a lot of the hardship and trials and tribulations that Kerr was able to get over. And, you know, but it's one that if is told right, it's not going to be the most feel-good story.
You know, Dwayne The Rock, I call him Dwayne, but The Rock, he's a very fine actor, and he can do drama very, very well. And I hope it's a further test of his acting ability, because he does have range, and I agree with you. It's got to be a very serious side to this, as well as the glorious, victorious side to it. It's not a feel-good movie. It's not a movie with it has a happy ending now, hopefully with his life, but he went through a lot.
Yeah, I mean, his fight career didn't end all that well, you know?
No.
And don't get me wrong, there's some great moments. I mean, the man was nicknamed the Smashing Machine for a reason. He destroyed people and was a beast.
We'll see how it comes out. Also in the news, and I really look forward to seeing the movie. The Diddy trial has started. Sean Diddy Combs. We'll see what's coming out of that. It's already pretty crazy stuff, and there's going to be a lot coming out of that one. But mainly, I want to end the show on a very positive note, and I'm sorry that the man is not alive to have read this or to have heard about the decision. But Pete Rose, along with Shoeless Joe Jackson, who were both had gambled and I don't say convicted, but they were found to be gambling on baseball. The reason Pete Rose never made the Hall of Fame was because of that. But Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson are among players who have now been reinstated by the Major League Baseball League in an historic decision, and now Pete Rose is eligible to be elected into the Hall of Fame. So
Pete Rose, former guest on this show, it's time. I heard a conspiracy about why they put him in now, and I hope this isn't true. But, I mean, we saw this firsthand. Pete was a funny guy and someone who loved to talk. It was entertaining. I heard that they didn't want to put him in the Hall of Fame, again, just a conspiracy, because they were afraid of what he might say in his acceptance speech. And I find that to be pretty upsetting to me. If that were the case, no one will ever know for sure. But I also find it very unfortunate that he's not alive to accept an honor that is rightfully his. I mean, yeah, there are some where there's smoke, there's fire. Oftentimes there's smoke here. I get it, but the guy's got 4,000 hits plus.
There's no question that he does not. There's no question about his deserving to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
period.
I mean, we're going to end up with all of the steroided players in the Hall of Fame, and yeah, there might be an asterisk there. I understand the integrity of the game is paramount, especially with one like baseball that has such a rich, deep tradition. But the idea that he was going to be kept out and was kept out for as long as he was is just absolutely absurd, and I think it's very unfortunate that he's not here to make that speech in Cooperstown.
I agree. Absolutely agree. Totally. All right, TJ. With that note, I want to again thank everybody for all your orders coming in at brucebuffer.com for your championship intro and audio and video, your cameos and stuff. But TJ, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The amount of weddings going on, not just in June and May, but for the future, we're getting anywhere from 20 or more wedding requests a week at brucebuffer.com. It's crazy.
Wow. How many divorces are you getting?
I actually have had a request to announce that one time.
That's ridiculous.
I'm not comfortable doing that. You know, that's not my thing. I won't do that. I keep all requests respectful. It's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
You know, weddings are the special day. I want to be part of your special day. I don't want to be part of any other day if it's that kind of a day.
And it's not just weddings you do. You'll do anything that people inquire about within reason. But how many births have you announced?
Oh, birth of babies?
Yeah.
Tons. Many. 3 this week.
Really?
Yeah. Commemorating. 3
Nice.
this week. 1 at brucebuffer.com, 2 on Cameo. Yeah.
Sweet.
It's actually one of the more popular requests, along with the championship intros and the business requests that come in, that people want to have. And it's all based
Where
on
would you prefer they go? Directly to you or to Cameo?
For weddings, directly to brucebuffer.com. For business, directly to brucebuffer.com. You can also book on Cameo. But if you book on Cameo and I feel that it's better you book through us direct because of the type of request, then my office will reply to you on Cameo.
You're limited, right? You're limited with what you can do on Cameo. You can kind of make it a little more engaging and special when you don't do it on a phone like that.
Yeah, I can. But also with the price I charge on Cameo, some of these requests are pretty extreme, and that price does, the fee is different.
I've seen it where celebrities get duped into like doing commercials via Cameo, and that's just insane to me.
They've tried.
Yeah. Okay.
My office, Chris, and we know how to see through all that stuff.
There you go.
So it's all good. Anyway, I'm just happy to make people happy. So send your requests in. Check on brucebuffer.com. There's an order form, for your championship intro. If you want a video, if you want an audio, and did a lot during Mother's Day, and I'll do a lot for Father's Day too.
Nice.
So all good, all good. All right, everybody. Make sure people have been asking me, but again, you can order It's Time Cologne on Amazon, or just go directly to itstimebb.com. This is one of the more, it's going to be a lot of sales going on, already happening now for Father's Day. Your dads would love It's Time Cologne. So there's my push, there's my shove, there's my spiel. Father's Day, it's time.
All right.
Amazon, itstimebb.com. Okay, that's my show for the day.
Perfect. You mind if I get one before we get out of here?
Go for it.
This Saturday, live on UFC Fight Pass, Tom Loeffler's 360 Promotions brings you Hollywood Fight Nights from the Commerce Casino. We've got a world-class boxing card for people live on UFC Fight Pass. We got a world title on the line. WBO World Championship is going to be on the line. Not a continental belt, no, world title fight. The fact I'm calling a world title fight is crazy to me. Mizuki Haruta, she defends her title. The number 1 ranked WBC super welterweight mandatory title challenger, Serhii Boachuk, he's in action in the main event. Omar Trinidad, the King of LA. It's always a good time. I know that UFC Fight Pass is the home for mixed martial arts. The letters UFC always synonymous with MMA, but Fight Pass is a lot more than that. You can get the best in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You got the Fight Pass Invitational coming up here on May 29th, but some elite, high-class, top-shelf boxing this Saturday night after the UFC wraps up in Las Vegas. Head over to UFC Fight Pass and tune in for the sweet science.
Very cool. Congratulations, TJ. Have a great time at the show.
Thanks.
One last little anecdote. Flying out to Montreal, I sat down and next to me was a woman sitting, and I just said, hello, how are you? She goes, my name is Nikki. I go, hi, Nikki. I go, did anybody ever tell you look like Nikki Glazer? Right?
Yeah.
I am Nikki Glazer.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Nikki Glazer is a very, very popular comedian.
Oh, who doesn't know Nikki at this point? After that roast.
She's just awesome. She was lovely to meet, had a good time. Her boyfriend, who's her producer, and her tour manager were on the plane. Got there, she invited me to go to the show, and I introduced her at her show, and I had a great time introducing her coming out. And she's going to be on It's Time Radio before the summer ends. She's doing 150 shows, nonstop schedule. So as soon as her schedule comes down, we'll have Nikki on the show, and it'll be a lot of fun having her on the show.
I want the return of the It's Time comedy night.
I would love that too, TJ, but you know what? The opportunity cost of time, it's tough, but I guarantee you I will have that happen again. I will make it happen again.
I want to come.
Definitely. You'll be on the invite list, no question.
Perfect.
All right, everybody. I will look forward to seeing you next week with another guest on This Time Radio. Until then, TJ, you take care. Have a great week. Have a good show this weekend. And am I working this weekend? No, I'm not.
No.
Yay. Yay. All good.
Come to
All right,
Hollywood
everybody.
Fight Nights.
What's
Come
that?
hang out. Come to the boxing show.
I go to Vegas to work. I'm not
going to Vegas. It's here.
where are you going?
Commerce. Come play
Commerce.
poker. Yeah, Commerce.
I don't know about the poker, but I'll let you know if I come down and watch the fights. I'll let you know.
Let me know. I know a guy.
Yeah, Tom Lawfer. I know that guy too.
Yeah, I know. You know him better than me, but.
And when's Callum Walsh fighting again?
Next month up at Chumash. He's got a really, really fun fight ahead of him. It's going to be fun.
Very cool. All right, TJ, have a good time. And everybody set your goals, write them down, so when you step on that yellow brick road to your future, you be the best you can be. And if you perform the best you can be, then you're winning. And that's what we're all about on It's Time Radio, is winning. So big cheers, no fears. Have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. Buffer out. Take care, everybody.